Moviocrity. The average, the mundane, the dull, the boring, in which great expense is sacrificed in order to please the least common denominator. Moviocrity is not only the name of this series, it's also its greatest enemy. Oh God, Spacehunter, or more accurately, Spacehunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. To talk about this one is to become a kid again. I saw this when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and it still fills me with delight whenever I see it. 1983 was a strange time for movies. Nowadays, everyone is jumping on the 3D bandwagon, but back then, we had a group of films pop up in the format all at once, totally without warning. And most of these were what I called colon films. Let me explain. All these cheesy sci-fi and fantasy films came on the scene with really long titles, all separated by a colon. If you were a kid who was really into sci-fi, as I was, it was kind of a great time to be alive. Not only did you have Spacehunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, but you also had Metal Storm: The Destruction of Jaredson, Yor: Hunter from the Future, Star Chaser: The Legend of Orin, Baby: Secret of the Lost... Okay, so maybe they weren't all winners. And in fact, they weren't all in 3D either. But this one was... And as a kid, I went with my big brother to the theater to see the film. I didn't know what 3D was, but I was just assured that it was indeed cool. So, in the opening sequence, a spaceship explodes, sending parts shooting out of the screen and into the audience. And there I was, skinny little four-eyed kid, dodging and weaving in my seat, hoping and praying that the parts wouldn't hit me because... damn, I just never seen anything like this before. I know. Cute, isn't it? Well, you know, cute is something I was born with, and it's something I've cultivated over the years. Anyway, the spaceship that blows up is a luxury space liner, but not everyone on board is killed. 3 women escape the disaster, and their shuttlecraft lands on the first planet with a breathable atmosphere. Unfortunately, the air is the only thing hospitable on this planet. The place is ugly, the terrain is treacherous, the water is poison, and there are cannibalistic mutants everywhere. Good thing for the Earth women that they can count on a rescue since they are hot. I'm not being a pig. Seriously, that's a motivating factor for the huge reward. I guess that there is just a shortage of frizzy hair and airbrushing in the future.
Hate it when they have missing limbs.
Anyway, on to our hero. Wolf, played by Peter Strauss, is a salvage collector who gets the call and he jumps at the chance for a big payday. You can't say he wasn't warned. We hear about why the planet is so inhospitable, and hey, let's give the film credit for sneaking in a lot of backstory just underneath the surface.
Terra 11 atmosphere, E-type. Exploration commenced 2013. Planet-wide outbreak of PSI plague 2021. Interplanetary medical expedition assigned to plague control 2022. Leaders of expedition Patterson and McNabb quarreled. McNabb, alias Overdog, assumed dictatorship entire planet. Medical expedition vanished 2031. Current status, quarantine restricted.
Quarantine restricted? Plague's been running rampant since 2031. Domestic food supplies probably infected. Sounds great.
When he gets to the planet, there's this great battle, but the girls are snatched before he can get to them.
Why can't anything be simple anymore?
It seems like Overdog McNabb has to get his grubby claws on everything, He kidnaps the girls to use for his assumed non-PG desires, and also to feed off their life force, something else Overdog is into. And when I said Overdog gets his claws on everything, I mean he gets his claws on everything. Overdog is a mutant robot insect-like creature, and he's played by Michael Ironside, and yes, it is exactly as awesome as it sounds. As Wolf begins his quest to rescue the girls, he meets up with the person who will turn out to be his sidekick. And look at that, it's Molly Ringwald, mere months before she would start popping up in every John Hughes film. I've always liked Molly Ringwald, who plays Nikki the Twister here. Oh, her line delivery here. Seriously, every line of dialogue she delivers in this goofy little film is poetry. Just listen to her big intro.
What the hell are you?
What do you think I am, you scrawny earthbag? I'm a woman! An earther! You better not skizz my home or I'll get my father to split your face. And I got brothers, too.
Poetry. You'd expect Ringwald's antics to get old really fast. And for some people, I guess maybe they do. Me, I love her. She cracks me up, and I happen to think she's kind of a sweet kid here. A lot of the film relies on the Wolf-Nikki relationship, and how learning to care for this kid helps him grow as a person. Ernie Hudson is here too, working for producer Ivan Reitman 1 year before Reitman cast Hudson in the breakout hit Ghostbusters. See a pattern with the actors here? Hey, Ghostbusters is fantastic, no question, but I loved Washington long before I loved Winston Zeddemore.
You know, most people like to stick with something, but you're like fly shit on the window. First little breeze that blows and you're gone.
That's good. You're becoming a real philosopher.
Poetry. People have lobbed criticisms at Spacehunter for years, and I get it. I do. But when you eat stuff like this up like I do, they sort of fall on deaf ears here at Moviocrity. Likewise, while you can probably accuse the film of many sins, you can never say this film is boring. Spacehunter is filled with so much action that it plays like a serial. You've got Amazon merwomen, cannibals, genetic mutations, an incredible sail barge / train where the first major action sequence takes place. Slime people. Nope, can't forget the slime people. It even ends with Ringwald navigating an obstacle course of doom, a great action set piece by any standards. And if that's not enough, the sequence ends with one of the greatest toppers in cheeseball cinema.
You have a very enviable life force. A life force you're going to share with me.
But you said if I made it through, I'm free!
I lied. Nobody falls free.
The film is incredibly entertaining in that charming way that filmmakers seem incapable of replicating anymore. Can we talk about practical effects for a moment? Spacehunter wasn't a big-budget film, but it wasn't a Roger Corman 2-week wonder either. A healthy sum was spent on this film, and a good portion of that cash went to creating some interesting vehicles, miniatures, and all sorts of whiz-bang special effects. Today, all of this would be done in CGI, and while that might make it look slick, I don't think it would look as good. And no, I'm not one of those people who believes that CGI is the death of filmmaking, and we should only do things the old-fashioned way. If we went by that line of reasoning, we'd still be using hand-cranked Lumiere cameras. CGI is the newest evolution in special effects. It's a means to an end, just like in-camera tricks and stop-motion animation before it. It can and has been used to great effect. However, I do believe that the ease of use, combined with the extent to which CGI has saturated the special effects market, is problematic. More and more filmmakers seem to be missing the point of special effects. The effects are a means in which to tell the story. In many recent films, however, the special effects are the story, and the only story at that. Plus, let's face it, there's a nostalgia value, isn't there? Sure, it isn't rational, and it sure isn't fair, but sometimes practical effects just look better. It's a weird paradox that though they may look more fake, they might feel more real. CGI may be easy on the eyes, but sometimes, just sometimes, practical effects are easier on the soul. Yes, indeed, Spacehunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, is a hoot. It's full of adventure, practical effects, and campy dialogue. For me to watch this one is to turn 8 years old again. Cuteness and all.
Tonight, I'm going to the movies. Tonight, I'm gonna lay back and stare and let the pictures take me anywhere. Tonight, it's gonna be adventure. Tonight, I'm gonna play the leading